personally one of my favorite doctor introductions is where he walks through the smoke and says, "Hi,
Oh yeah.
I'm the doctor."
Getting used to the speakers, because we are going to save about, I'm ending it like 42 minutes in so that we have time for a video at the end. Because if anything I say in this doesn't convince you to watch Doctor Who, I have a video that will. It's a nice 5-minute video, and it gives me goosebumps every time I watch it. I've seen it about 30 times.
My friends and friends
I've always
disown me if I don't figure out which Doctor Who guy.
What's that?
My friends and friends disown me if I don't figure out who this Doctor Who
You see, and I demonstrated this last night on my friend Adam, and I'll do it again. This is, everyone in this room who knows about Doctor Who, we all have this friend, and we're trying to convince them, and finally we just run up to them and we go, "Why haven't you watched Doctor Who yet? Why? You're going to kill your children! What is wrong with you?" And then they go and watch it, and they love it forever.
You think that's a really true
Yeah.
story until 6 months later.
I didn't do that to you, Jessica did.
Goddamn.
Yeah, see? I'm always right.
Bullshit. The doctor is always right.
The doctor is always right.
Yeah, but the doctor lies.
The doctor does lie, but it doesn't mean I'm not
He's
always right.
deceiving.
I'm deceiving, but not. First rule of being a Time Lord, the doctor lies. Second rule, trust the doctor. Contradictions.
Yes.
They're amazing, aren't they? We have our general outline, and this is what we're going to be following today. We are going to start with a brief history of Doctor Who, how it started, when it began, all that fun jazz, little trivia facts. Then we're going to go into physiology of a Time Lord. This way we can understand everything, how he works, and then we'll talk about each of the 11 Doctors. We'll give you a little bit of their personality, who they are, how long they're active, who the actors are. And then we'll move into tools of the Doctor, the companions, who they are. We'll talk about unit a little bit so you can learn who they are, the importance to the show. Then the last thing we're going to round it out with is notable species. That's going to include all the two of the classic villains. There's a sub one in there for a third. Then we'll talk about the Time War, which is instrumental between classic and new. And then we've got 2 new villains, 2 that have been introduced since 2005, brand new to the show, and very cool ones. And then we'll go into a conclusion. I'm going to leave myself a little bit of time. In fact, I'm going to start this timer now to make sure I don't run over. I don't want to piss off the next panel. But it's going to just give you a nice video so that if anything I've said today doesn't convince you to watch Doctor Who, this video will. I've watched it 30 times, probably at least, and every time I get goosebumps. Yes, yes, come in, take a seat, enjoy yourselves. All right, so let us begin with history of Doctor Who. I know, it's a little boring, but stick with it. All right, so Doctor Who first aired at 5:15 p.m. on November 23rd of 1963. Why is this important? It was the day after the Kennedy assassination, and there was rolling blackouts across all of England, so it had to get pushed back. It was also important at the time, specifically, because they're going to air the 50th anniversary episode, which is this year, at the exact same time and date in England, and then it will spread out across the world. So why was there this popular demand for Who? What did they want to do with it? Why did we want to make this show in '63? Well, the original intent was it was a history program made cool, and that's really a nice idea, because if you have this time traveler who's going forwards in time, backwards in time, you can try and present people to the audience in a history in a way that is a little bit more interesting than just standing up here like I am and giving you a lecture. I know. So the other thing was it was also pre-moon landing. This was, and this deals with more of the future aspect. Nobody really knew what space was like. You know, there was all this intent, ooh, the space race, you know, we have to get there. Kennedy had declared we would, and all this sort of stuff. Get to the moon. So, you know, everyone really had this rush. They wanted to see this energy and what it was. So that really helped move Doctor Who into its prime. But as the show went on for a very long time, and it started to get a little bit dry. The characters seemed not to be written as well. So it went on a hiatus. It was never canceled, it just kind of got pulled back. But that lasted for 15 years, from August of 1990 through March of 2005. But then you have to ask, why did they want to bring it back? And that's pretty much 2 factors. One is, during the hiatus, they made the TV movie in '96. So that really helped. It was a collaboration between the BBC, Canadian Television, and Fox. Most people say, well, it was a 90s movie and everything. It really wasn't that great and it's filmed in a 90s manner. But that's how Doctor Who would have been filmed in the 90s. Everything was filmed that way. You can't say that about one thing. That's how it was. And then the other thing that helped was books, magazines, the people who grew up watching it. You know, there was such a vast network of Whovians that we all kept talking about it. So, you know, it kind of got into people's head. And the people who grew up watching it now had the power to bring it back. They were the ones writing things. They're like, well, I want Doctor Who back. Let's do this. So they did. And then how has it survived so long? That really just comes down to the continual story, this aspect that even through 50 years, everything is still canon. You could go back and watch the original and learn more about the new stuff. You know, they really do a good job of making it so the new episodes, you don't need to know the old stuff, but it adds to it. So that's how it survives so long. And by the way, it's aliens. That's what this show is about. Yes, he's going to explain to you everything about the show. It is simply aliens. All you need to know. So, now we're going to go into, you know, the idea of what is the physiology of a Time Lord. And this is very key to the show. The thing with Time Lords is they don't have any physical differences. It's a trick question. The only thing that's really different between them and us is they have two hearts. Well, I have two hearts. But, you know, that's how it is. Yeah, I don't know how you guys get along with just one. That's Alright, so we have two hearts, that's a little bit different, but the key thing too to us is something called regeneration. And it's basically, as stated, a complete new life cycle. The idea is that every cell in your body basically destroys itself and replicates itself again. It rips everything apart and creates a whole new being. And the only thing that's retained with all of that is the memories, everything before. So when I regenerate, all that information is still there. I know everything my past self did. But my personality changes. Everything of who I am is gone. I still know what I did, but now I'm a new person. I have to go out and kind of figure myself out, what I like, what I don't like. Sometimes I don't really like apples. Apples are rubbish. Sometimes I just can't eat a pear. Don't want to wake up with that taste in my mouth. Blech. So, that's the other thing.
Custards.
True, fish fingers and custard. Very delicious. So, with this nice little regeneration trick, you can live thousands of years due to this. That's how the Time Lords are so old. And there was kind of a 13th regeneration rule, but we kind of wrote that out because we realized, they kind of thought, well, we'll never make it to 13 Holy crap, we're getting close. We don't want to end this. It kind of makes money. We'll just slide that out. No one does that. Away with you. So that's the other thing. But that's what regeneration is, and that's how you get 11 different doctors. So now that we kind of understand that you can have this trick and you can have a show that lasts so long, now we're going to go into who the doctors are individually. And of course, we must start with the first. There he is, good old me. I looked so handsome back then. He was played by William Hartnell. He was active from 1963 till 1969, started the show. The best way to describe this man is he is your grandfather. That's what he was. He traveled along with a companion of his, Susan, who was his granddaughter. So he was a grandfather sort of character. He spoke down to you when you don't think and you don't use your intelligence like your grandfather does. If you do something stupid, how often does your grandfather come to you? What were you doing? What were you thinking? Mine does it all the time. He loves to do it to me. I hate that. But that's, again, he just has the high expectations of you. He's been around a long time. He knows that you can live up to it, so he has that high expectations. He's a very kind old man when he wants to be, but he can be very fierce at the same time. And then, of course, you must get the quote, Doctor Who. And that's how it all started in the very first episode. And a fun little fact about the first episode. It's the only show in history to be allowed to record its pilot episode twice. They had such issues with the first recording that they did it again. Now, there was one other show, and it's lasted a pretty long time. You may have heard of it, Star Trek. Yes, yes. The only other show to have that opportunity. So that's who the first Doctor was. So now we'll move on to the second. Another handsome-looking fellow. A little bit younger, at least. He was played by Patrick Troughton. Took over 66 to 69. Personality is really the absent fool, is what I like to call him. He liked to play his recorder. I don't know why. It's a nice little thing, recorder, whatever. But he's very much, and as I quoted up here, oh dearie me, and dribbledy-doo, and all this sort of stuff, and I'm scared, and oh. But it's a hidden brilliance sort of thing. He's got the intelligent there, but he puts on this act of, you know, I'm a weak, little, feeble old man, but don't look at me because I'm doing something clever behind your back. And that's what he did. He was very, very good at that, and I really do enjoy it. Second Doctor, one of my favorite ones. So now, after second, I wonder what comes next. Oh, right, third. Going back to kindergarten here. So, this third Doctor, John Pertwee. He was active 70 to 74. His personality, a bit of the magician. And I tried to figure out ways to describe these guys in just like one sentence and then break it down from there. I call him the magician because he actually did like to perform magic tricks. For whatever reason, that was his little shtick. But he's a magician too because as a magician, you're out on the stage and you're a magician. You're performing. You have a face and a persona that people know. But you also have a different face that people don't know when you're off stage. And that's how he was. To his friends, he was one person, but to his enemies, he was another. He was a fierce fighter. He was the one who knew karate and actually would fight, which was kind of cool, especially back in the 70s. It's like, yeah! Everyone loved that. So, the other thing with him is he was a scientist first. That was key, you know. He would fight second, scientist first. If he could reason anything, he would. And he worked most closely with Unit. We'll talk about them later. Unit really came into being with the second Doctor. He worked very closely with the third, and then a little bit with the fourth, and then they kind of fade out and then come back. But that was mainly because the Time Lord said, hey, you know how your TARDIS can travel through time and space? We're going to take away that ability. Yeah, you're grounded on Earth. You were bad. Because they can do that. So, yeah, and then Joe, did you fail Latin as well as science? One of his partners. He had to always get it at her. So next is the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. Most people know this man. He's a very, wrong button. He's a very well-respected person, and a lot of people's favorites. He has a 17-foot-long scarf. I mean, who else can wear such a thing of multicolors? But yes, Tom Baker, active 74 to 81. Personality is really the easygoer. It's just, things worked, and if they worked in his favor, yippee! And it's that mentality of, oh, I knew it would work the whole time. And no, you didn't. You walked out of the TARDIS and fell into a trap. And you knew it would work. Bull. And he tends to insult species a lot. It's something with the Doctor. He likes to look down at you and get in your face. And there are certain ones, 4th and 9 especially, who just like it. When they're upset, they'll just get in there and insult you. Oh, you lower species, you. How dare you? What is wrong with you? You're not as good as me. But he does give you one of the best quotes of all time, and this is just actually a nice little thing to think about throughout your life, is there's no point being grown up if you can't act childish sometimes, which is very true. It's like, and that's what he was, you know. He was an adult, but hey, I'm going to have fun with it. I'm alive once, might as well. So, well, I'm alive multiple times, but hey, you can still kill a Time Lord before regeneration. So, you know, I think it was Sylvester McCoy who said, a Time Lord can live an infinite amount of time so long as he doesn't have too many accidents. So, yeah. But that was Tom. He was a fantastic Doctor, very well respected. Now we have the 5th. And 5, would you please stand up, Eric? Yes, look at him. He's fantastic. He wears a piece of celery because he can. He has long hair and all this sort of stuff. Oh, look at me. I'm a funny little man with celery in my lapel.
Hey, it makes me look good, okay?
Yeah, so you said. The 5th Doctor, Peter Davison. Years active was 81 to 84. Personality is very simple. Don't ask stupid questions. It's like, why are you asking me this? You know the answer. He had a companion once say, oh, he goes, well, I'm going to put the information in the TARDIS and we're going to go find them. Oh, so you found them? No, that's why I'm looking for them. What is wrong with you? But yeah, he was a very lovable person, a very easygoing soul too. He was the young Doctor. He was the first one to be really young and take advantage of this. But again, you know, it was that, I love that, you know, this don't ask stupid question things. And the quote I put up there is a little bit longer thing, but one of his companions once said, why do you have the celery in your lapel? Why are you carrying that? He goes, oh, it's a safety defense. I'm allergic to certain things, and if the celery turns red, you know, and it's present, and that would be not good. She goes, oh, well, what do you do in that case? I eat the celery. If anything, I'm sure it's good for my teeth. But, you know, that's just how he was. Good old Rod. All right, now this next doctor, the 6th, is, well, he's colorful. I don't know if you're aware. There's about 8 different patterns on that jacket. But there was this idea that, you know, maybe we can start selling off the doctor's clothes, his costumes and everything, which never really took off. Cosplayers do it all the time. Well, yeah, cosplayers do it all the time, but they were going to try and sell it to kids. But, yes?
You also have to admit, this was mid to late 80s, so
Oh yeah,
just
mid to
trying
late 80s, true, that does
grab
have an
onto
effect.
how horrible 80s fashion was.
Yeah,
So,
this was the
let's
time
do
of
multiple neon
this was the time
colors.
of beehives and glam bands and all that stuff. I suppose that does factor in. But he really wasn't the most well-known doctor. He just kind of, Colin is there. He was a fill-in. But he's the experienced doctor is the best way to say it. He's been around the block. He loves to hear himself talk. He loves to explain everything. And he doesn't care if you're listening, he'll just keep going. But that's how Colin was. And again, the doctor of Technicolor Dreamcoats, however you want to call him, that was 6. So now we have 7. Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to, what's great about 6 is every other doctor, when they do their regeneration, everyone looks in the mirror and they all make some joke about how they look. Like, oh, my, you know.
All that stuff. And then when he came back.
His is a noble brow, intelligent eyes. He's a very arrogant doctor.
He is a very arrogant doctor.
A lot of people don't like him.
One
He's
of
actually
the
one of
reasons
my
I don't.
favorites.
One of the reasons I don't like him is he's a little bit arrogant. I tried to stay away from my bias against him. His regeneration from 5 into 6, his first line was, change just in the nick of time. And it's like, really? Really? I liked 5. How dare you say that? Alright, moving on, so I'm not going to get upset. We have the 7th Doctor. He's actually kind of cool. At least I think. 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. Years active, 87 to 89. Then there was the hiatus. He had a little appearance in 93, and then 96 he starred in the first portion of the film with the 8th Doctor. You know, he had the regeneration. His personality is the punny one. He's like your favorite uncle. He just has to make a pun all the time. Every time. That's a pun. I can't ignore that. I must do it. Such as, well, every dogma has its day. That's just how he was. Everything had. And he had a funny little umbrella with a question mark on the end of it because he could and all this sort of stuff. And he was very much, and that's the best way I can describe it. He's your favorite uncle. He's the guy that you can stand to be around for a day, but if you had to live with him, you just couldn't. That's how it is. So you kind of see that as companions are with him, like Ace and everything. Actually, I think that Ace I didn't like at all. That's a horrible example to bring up, because she had this annoying habit of calling him Professor. Why she wanted to call him Professor? She did, and it annoys me. Just, he's the doctor. He's not the professor. And then people would get confused. Well, are you the professor or the doctor? I'm the doctor. She calls me the professor. I don't get it. But yes, this was Sylvester McCoy. Very fun. Now we get into 8. Now this was during the hiatus. This was the 96th film. He was only in the 96th film. How do you like that? I'm going to play the doctor once. But it was a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. And again, it was, like I said, it was a 90s movie. So when it starts, there's a car chase down the street, and Asian men are running down and jumping fences for whatever reason, because 90s! I watched the beginning of it and I thought, did I start Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or is this Doctor Who? Can't figure out. But his personality is the romantic. That's a very good way to describe it, because in this film, you really you see him starting out, and he's very he doesn't remember everything, how the regeneration happened is he died on an operating table and humans were trying to help him. And when you have 2 hearts, they just think your heart is beating really, really fast. That's just how it is. You have 2 hearts. They beat really, really fast. So that killed him. And then he woke up, and because of the anesthesia, it screwed with his head, so he's trying to remember who he is. And he's also the one that you get to see snoggle when on TV. Yeah, he got some, huh? And I love his quote here, you know, I love humans always seeing patterns and things that aren't there. Because it's what we do. It's like, oh, that has to go in there. And he's like, no, you're not thinking fourth dimensionally. Oh wait, no, that's Doc Brown who said that. might as well use it in here, it works. Close enough. But that was the Eighth Doctor, and really the best thing about Paul McGann is he's really expanded, the Eighth Doctor's expanded in all the books. Because like I said, there was this hiatus. He's the only Doctor we've never seen regenerate. The books have never described it or mentioned how it happened into 9. But he does the audiobooks and all this sort of stuff, and his character changes throughout time. He ends up being, if anyone knows steampunk, he kind of has a steampunk-esque sort of thing going on with him. He starts off Victorian, and then he remakes his sonic screwdriver. I'll talk about the Sonic in a little bit and what happened to that poor thing. But yeah, that's the 8th, and he was fun. But now we get into the revitalization with the 9th Doctor. Woo! Yeah! Christopher Eccleston! Big floppy ears. That's the big thing you'll remember about him. You know, he actually turned down the part for the 8th Doctor. They asked him first, and he said, no, I don't want to do that. Then a couple of years later, he's like, nah, sure, why not? I don't know. I'm glad he did it, though, because Christopher Eccleston was great. He was my first Doctor. You always remember your first. You remember your first, your favorite, and the current. But the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, he was active 2005. He only did 1 season. He really wanted to just come back and revitalize it and then hand it off to someone else. But his personality is very much the stern dad. You know, he's happy, supportive, but also, you know, very fierce on you. And this is towards everyone, you know, to his enemies, he was a fierce person, but to his companions, he was just as angry as well. Mickey the idiot, need we say more? Ricky and Mickey. Mickey, that's just too much and I'm going to get lost. But there is a key point, and I will discuss this also a little bit later, is at this point, the 9th Doctor, all before this, there have been other Time Lords. Now 9 shows up, and they're all gone. He is the last Time Lord, and that factors into who his character is and what has happened to him, because he's become a little bit more reserved. You know, he's just kind of stepping back a little bit, and he's trying to get out there, and his companions really help him through that.
Well, the Master does make a reappearance.
Well, yes, and I'll get to him. But at this point, he thinks he's alone. And he's the only one. There's one other, and he's very fun. And of course, the Doctors have now become catchphrases. They have little ones here and there, and for the 9th, it's fantastic. Everything was fantastic. So now we have 10. Yeah! My favorite.
Favorite.
Tennant. He's amazing and so, man, I would go in that. I'm straight, but that man, ooh, he could turn me the other way. David Tennant, active 2005 to 2010. They said, why do you want to retire? And he goes, you know what? If I kept doing this, they'd want me doing it until I was in the bathtub at 80 years old and couldn't get out, but they would have me filming Doctor Who episodes. We loved him that much. Personality, manic depressive, bipolar, optimistic, and happy. He really is. He's manic depressive. He's, oh my God, I'm so very sad. Hey, how's it going? And then he's like, oh, what's this and what's that? And, oh, hey, whoa. All that sort of stuff. And that's just how he was. He was very emotionally connected. And you see that a lot in his episodes. He was the one that you really could get involved with, you know. You could really feel everything he was feeling, which was great. And then, allons-y. That's one of his catchphrases in an episode. He explains it. He goes, allons-y, it's French. Let's go. So, you know, and that's the thing. He's very much the person, let's go. We gotta go here. Gotta go there. Gotta go there. Running. Big. That's huge in the new stuff. You have to run. Do not be the person who can't run with the Doctor. You might want to get on the treadmill, cardio it up, because if he comes and says, be a companion, you're going to run a lot. And I'm just going to say this. An interesting fact. David Tennant, in an episode, he gets a daughter. Her name is Jenny for a little bit. 1 episode only. And Jenny is the daughter of Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor. She grew up on the set of Doctor Who, so she knew everything about the show and everything. And they met on there. And now she's his wife and they have a kid. So the 10th married the 5th's daughter, so 10's father-in-law is 5. And it just so happens that 10's favorite Doctor growing up was 5, and he based a lot of his personality off 5. I think that must have been fate. Yes?
Back when they actually did the episode, You can sometimes find, you can find on YouTube. There's a video with her where she's talking to her. She had a son from another marriage, and she's talking to this to her 4-year-old son, asking him questions. And it's, who's your favorite doctor? And he goes, David Tennant. Okay, who's your second favorite doctor? Tom Baker.
And how far down on that list is poor Peter?
Well, okay. Are there any others? No. Grandad's really gonna like hearing that.
Yeah, grandfather was very happy about that, I'm sure. All right, now we get to me. Don't I look so handsome?
That's cool.
Bow ties are very cool. All right, Matt Smith, years active 2011 till present. His personality is very whimsical and ADD. He's, oh, shiny. Oh, wait, well, I was doing something. Hold on. Right, I gotta do this first. Ignore the shiny. It's so shiny. But yeah, he's very whimsical, and it shows in his TARDIS. The TARDIS changes throughout time, updates the screensaver, if you will. And it's very much, he's the prince in a fairy tale. That's the best way to say it. I can't explain it better. But yes, I wear a fez now. Fezes are cool. Everything is cool. Bow ties are cool. Fezes are cool. Stetsons are cool. Yeah. And soon, you know, suit vests are going to be cool. Victorian. Pretty much anything he wears is cool. I like that. That's a good way to say it. And if you don't like it, well, too bad. So now we get into now that we've explained the 11s and who they are, there is a key thing we have to talk about, and that's the TARDIS. What he travels around in time and space, because you can't really be a Time Lord and not have a TARDIS. It doesn't work. So, it's a nice blue police box that means time and relative dimensions in space. Space, 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 space. And it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. Which you could also say it's bigger on, or smaller on the outside than it is on the inside. That's another way of saying it, but usually it's bigger on the inside, outside. Now, why is it a blue police box, and why does it happen to be that way? Well, there's this nice thing called a chameleon circuit. It's supposed to be that any time you travel through time and space, I appear now, and the TARDIS is supposed to be here, well, it could disguise itself as a chair. It's supposed to be subtle and just disappear into the background. Well, it broke, and I'm just a little bit too lazy to fix that. And I kind of like the blue police box, so it stays. That's really why it's there. It's just, he's lazy and doesn't want to fix it. But it can go anywhere in time and space, yep.
And actually, you get to see it keep the police box from the beginning of the series.
Exactly, from
you
the
watch
very
Unearthly
beginning.
Children, they get out, and the doctor and his granddaughter Susan both look at it, and it's like, it should have changed.
They do make that. It's the second episode that they say that. It's like, it should have changed. And it's like, oh, well, it's fine.
Yeah. Sixth Doctor fixes it in one episode, but the
He
TARDIS
hates
doesn't like it. And so every time they land somewhere, it picks the most inappropriate form. They land in a junkyard, and it chooses this painted china hutch. They land in a garage, and it chooses a pipe organ. They land on an alien planet, and it chooses Victorian wrought iron gates. And so then he just, at the end of it, he just removes it and lets it be the police box again.
Yeah, might as well. Let the TARDIS do what it wants. And then there's one other interesting thing, and this is why we can understand all the aliens that we see. It kind of gets into your head and changes your language receptors around, so that anything you hear is English and anything you speak, they hear as whatever their language is. So that's why everyone apparently speaks British languages.
Unless you try to actually speak their language.
Unless you, yes, if you try and speak Latin to someone who speaks Latin, they're going to go, sorry, I don't know, is she from the north? I don't understand. Shut up. Exactly. So that's the TARDIS, and it's very important. And the second most important tool of the Time Lord is the sonic screwdriver. This is a fantastic little device that emits sonic frequencies used to unlock doors, fuse wires, fix barbed metals, fix circuitry, do anything and everything that it wants, scan biological life forms, but it does not work on wood. For whatever reason, it can't work on wood.
Or deadlock seals.
So,
Or deadlock seals.
well, yes.
I'm guessing they saw the movie Signs, went back in time and told them, don't have it work on wood.
Yep, maybe. But that's the thing, can't work on wood, and there was a little moment in the new stuff where he goes, oh, aliens made of wood, this was always going to happen, you know. Because then you can't do anything. It's like, oh, damn. And unfortunately, there was a moment in the life of Peter Davison that we had to bid goodbye to the Sonic. The writers didn't like it. They felt it was too gimmicky, so they wrote it out of the show. But we get one of the best lines from Peter Davison ever of, "I feel as though you've just killed a very old friend." A moment for the song. And we're good. Moving on, who are the companions? The companion is anyone who travels with the doctor. They basically are there to keep the doctor level-headed, keep him coming on his travels. And the big thing is, if you're traveling through time and space, what's the point of seeing everything if you can't show anyone? You know, "Oh, that's fantastic, a diamond waterfall. I got to see it. Oh, now I have no one to tell." Well, let's get someone who I can tell and brag about too. Yes, this is fantastic. That's a companion for you. And they don't always have to be human or even organic. That's how you end up with a mechanical dog named K9, who's fantastic. K9 is fantastic. And then you realize that you are the mechanical dog in the case of Mickey. All right, and then along with the companions, there was this little task force. I told you I'd get back to them. UNIT, the United Nations Intelligent Task Force. They worked very closely with the Third Doctor, and they're a military task force of the UN working to protect and combat alien threats to planet Earth. And there was the Brigadier and all these fantastic people. Basically, they were there just as extra companions to the Doctor with a military sense. And they were the ones who were like, "Well, Doctor, you must do this." And he's like, "No, that's militaristic, and I don't agree with that. So I'll go off behind your back and do something else, but it will work out exactly how we need to." And that's how he did it. And that was John Pershing's life with UNIT. And they do come back. The Brigadier's daughter is now running UNIT. We saw that with the 11th Doctor, so they do show up in the new episodes and everything. They do have their place in time, but they really were just a very classic-driven character. Now, we're going to move on to notable species. And what we danced around this whole time is talking about who the Time Lords are. We've only talked about one, but there's a whole species of these guys who can regenerate and change their faces. Now, their home planet is Gallifrey in the constellation of Castellanus. They are keepers of times and its laws throughout all of the universe. They basically were the first species to really ascend to the level of time travel and understanding this. And through that, they feel that they need to look over the laws of time and make sure nothing gets too explodey-wodey or wibbly-wobbly. But they are one of the oldest species in the universe. And they do have a lot of cool little things to them, certain little mental abilities, such as telepathy and the ability to transfer memories. They can talk to each other. The Doctors have met before. There's been the 5 Doctors, 3 Doctors, 2 Doctors. They've all met through time and space for whatever reason. And they can actually talk to each other with mental telepathy. But the other thing they can do is they can go up to humans and bash their heads into their forehead, and suddenly, now they know something. That's the most great ability I've ever said. "Hey, I don't like you. Headbutt!" I was just transferring memories. But another key thing, and this is true, this is to help move along time and everything, is there's a difference between fixed points and points in flux. And as a Time Lord, they can see this. There are certain events in history that must remain stagnant. Pompeii will always erupt. Hitler will always rise and take control of the Third Reich. There must be these events, and they must happen, and a Time Lord cannot alter those events. But everything else is free game. So that's the Time Lord, and there is another Time Lord that we have talked about. He is the Master. He is very evil. Time Lord gone mad. And he's basically, his character is this. He's the yin to the yang of the Doctor. He is Moriarty to Holmes, and he is Joker to Batman. He is there. And I put that Joker into Batman because he never would kill the Doctor as much as he wants to. His goal in life is to destroy the Doctor and get rid of him. But he couldn't if he wanted to, because then he wouldn't have anyone to play with. But he's out there, he's universal conquest, and he's very, very evil and mad, and he's brilliant. It's fantastic to watch the Master work and try and understand his mental process, because it's like trying to understand Joker. You can't do it. You'll go mad trying to understand what he's doing. But it's very fun. He was the villain in the '96 movie. You've got John Sim, who played it with the 10th Doctor in The Sound of the Drums, where he hears that in his head repeatedly. That was a nice little thing they did. But yes, he's a fantastic villain. But now that we've talked about Time Lords and the Master, we must talk about the oldest villain of all time, coming from the second serial of William Hartnell, the Daleks. Their home planet is of Skaro, created as a result of a mutation from a civil nuclear war by the scientists of Davros. Mr. I have a glowing blue eye in front of my head. But basically what happened is there was this giant nuclear civil war, and it started to alter the people of Skaro, the one side that was fighting against them. So they had to put themselves in these mechanical suits, which are now the Daleks. And as they continued to mutate, Davros went, and he said, I'm going to mutate us until we no longer will mutate. And they became this tiny little blob of like jellyfishy thing inside of a metal suit. And they felt that they were the most perfect things in all the universe. And they have only one goal, and that is the complete and utter elimination of all life forms that are not Dalek. Yes, ma'am?
Back when we predicted that the Earth was going to end, I heard that supposedly it was anniversary of when dogs first started operating.
It would have been December 23rd. That would have been a very interesting thing. I never looked into the dates of that, and I haven't heard it. But that will be something I'll look into after this. But yes, the Daleks have only one goal, and that is the complete, utter elimination of any life form non-Dalek. And so they scream, "Exterminate!" with their plunger of death. Tom Baker once said, I have never been so frightened of an upside-down garbage can with a little tiny half ball stuck on it and a plunger being pointed at me. But that's the Daleks. Now, they are complete and utter. The Time Lords have a policy of non-interference. They break that with the Daleks because they are that evil. So we end up with the Time Wars, and this is what I was talking about. This is where the Ninth Doctor is about to become the only Time Lord in all of existence. The last great Time Lord. There were two prior, but this one's the most important. Sometime between this, the 8th and the Ninth Doctor does regenerate, whether it's during the Time War or shortly thereafter. But the Time War pitted the normally non-interfering Time Lords versus the Daleks, and it was, what they did is they said, we need to end this. The Daleks have the ability to time travel, we have the ability to time travel, and we need to make sure that nothing can happen, that everything that happens from now in this war will be the ultimate end. You know, if we win, we win. If the Daleks win, the Daleks win, but nothing can change. So they time-locked the war. Nobody could travel back into time in the war. Everything that happened only moved forward. If you moved forward in time with your time machine, that was it. You were there. Whatever happened is now history. It cannot be changed. And that ended up being a very costly decision. Because in order to end the war, the Doctor was forced to burn all of Gallifrey, killing every Time Lord, and he had hoped every Dalek at the same time. Thus, he was the one who committed genocide against his own people and the Daleks, and became the loneliest man in all of the universe. This war single-handedly determined who the new Doctor is. And we never see it in the show. It's not even talked about in the books. It's hinted at, but you hear about it in the show, and you understand that this war, especially with the end of time, and I will not say anything about that because spoilers. Yeah, I had to say that at some point in here. But yes, this is hugely effective to this man. But there is another classic villain, almost as popular as the Daleks, and almost as important, the Cybermen. The only man who had a radiator stuck to his chest because he looked mechanical, right?
With the funky pair of headphones.
Exactly. Funky indeed. Now, there is something interesting about the Cybermen. Their home planet was Mondas, but they have two origins. I like the first better. In the classic series, Mondas drifted out of orbit, and to survive, they basically enhanced their bodies to live in space because they were moving away from their planet. So they kept upgrading parts of their bodies until they were just basically mechanical, and stripped themselves of all emotion. Now, because of this, they kind of thought that, oh, we're the most perfect beings in the universe. And unlike the Daleks, who thought, we're perfect, everything else needs to die, their mentality is, oh, we're perfect, so we'll upgrade everyone else to us. Because it's the only way we can reproduce now, so in order to get more Cybermen, we need to create more Cybermen, and we need something to start with, so let's just turn everyone else. So this planet of Mondas that they then converted to basically a giant starship became the first Death Star.
Yes.
Moved throughout space, conquering worlds and turning them into other Cybermen homeworlds. But it ended up being that the Time Lords were able to defeat the Cybermen and kill them all. Until, in a parallel universe, on Earth, the Cybermen were created by a mad billionaire who wanted to basically create Earth's next logical evolutionary step. And so we ended up with the Cybermen again, in a parallel universe, invading our universe. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, figure that one out. And And, of course, like the Daleks with exterminate, they have a phrase, and it's called delete. Because they're emotionless, so you have to drink. Yeah, control, alt, delete, I like that. You have to drain yourself of all things. You go, delete, keep a straight face, cake. And there is a great scene when the Daleks and the Cybermen meet because they think they are the greatest of all species. And the Cybermen, there's like 5 or 6 of them facing off against 3 Daleks. And he goes, you would stop the Cybermen army with only 3 Daleks. We would crush the Cybermen army with only 1 Dalek. They're smack-talking each other. Great! Oh, best nerd moment in history.
Oh no!
Oh, I had to. We've talked about 2 of the classic villains. Now we must talk about 2 of the new villains. And the first is the Weeping Angels. It's just a harmless statue. What are you concerned about? Oh yeah, if you turn away and if you blink, they move. Now their home planet is unknown, and they're as old as the universe. Nobody really knows, where they came from, but they just existed. And they feed off potential life streams. Basically what this means is, I go up to you, sir, and I touch you. And I've now sent you back in time, let's say 30 years. You'll die before you get back to your life stream now, and I'm going to live off all of that potential energy that you could have had, all of that life that you could have had. Yes, that's tasty to me. That's how they survive. They're hunters. They're the only species to kill you nicely. Because you do get to live out your life, just not the way you want it. And all your family is gone, and now you're a lonely person who has to make a completely new life for himself, and you'll never know what happened to him in the future. So, they do have this nice little greatest self-defense mechanism, and that's what we've talked about a little bit. It's called the quantum lock. Basically, I am a stone statue as long as you stare at me. The moment you blink, the moment you look away, the moment you turn your back, I can move freely. But if you look at them, then they're stone again. It's a fact of their biology. They cannot avoid it. It happens. It's the only thing they can do. So, that's how they survive, because you can't kill a stone statue.
So they took Schrodinger's cat and made it an angel.
Yes, they did.
Right.
It is both alive and dead at the same time. But there is a nice little trick, and this is how they reproduce. Because every species, if there were just 10 Weeping Angel stone statues, well, I'm just going to go up and smash that statue to death with a hammer. Well, then there'd be no more angels. So how do they reproduce? Well, it's very simple. Anything that holds the image of an angel is itself an angel. So I hope you've been looking at this picture, because if we look away, it will move and kill us. So I'm just going to hit this button really, really fast. And we're going to talk about the last of the species. The Silence. Aren't they just, they are so pretty. That's the word I was looking for, and I mean it. Very, very pretty. The Silence. Home planet is Earth. Their home planet is here since the time of fire. They've been around as long as we have. They're a parasite species. They basically live off of us. Because what they do is, they're in the background because of their little ability. Like the Weeping Angels, they have a cool ability. You only remember them as you're looking at them. So for now, I'm going to use you as an example. You're a Silence. Oh, hey, I see you. You're talking. Hey, how's it going on? Who was I talking to? Oh, hey, how are you doing? I haven't seen you ever. Are you new here? Oh, hey, who was I talking to again? I have no idea. Oh, hey. That's what happens all the time. So, you have this nice little defense mechanism is you can only remember us as you're looking at it. But they also have a second thing called this innate ability of post-hypnotic suggestion. As you're looking at them, if they say something to you, you say, I want you to go to the moon. And then they look away and, who was I talking to? Why do I have this sudden urge to go to the moon? Let's go to the moon, guys. That's what they did. They evolved our species to meet their needs. They've been around as long as we have, guiding humanity up until the moon race. And I will not say any more about them because they are instrumental in the Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, which is not a good two-part to start with. But once you're into Who, you will be like me, and within 15 minutes of watching it go, what is going on? How did this happen? No! Curse Stephen Mountain. Everyone must curse him. And I must say, I've done fantastically on time because I had 10 seconds left before everything ran out, and this was the last panel. So we've reached the conclusion And if none of what I have just said has convinced you to watch Doctor Who, this video I'm about to show you, I sure hope will. So we'll get this set up. Video.
I've seen him. He's like fire and ice and rage. He's like the night and the storm and the heart of the sun.
When disaster comes, he's there. He brings the storm in his wake.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
He has saved your lives so many times and you never even knew he was there. He never stops. He never stays. He never asks to be thanked.
Is no one interested in history?
Onwards.
Where's the TARDIS? It's my home.
That's time and relative dimension in space.
The daft old man who stole a magic box.
I'm not a human being. I walk in eternity.
The Doctor, the man who keeps running, never looking back because he dare not, out of shame.
You mean you're deliberately choosing to go on the run from your own people in a rackety old TARDIS?
Why not? After all, that's how it all started. One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
I've seen whole armies turn and run away. And he'd just swagger off back to his TARDIS and open the doors with a snap of his fingers. The Doctor in the TARDIS. Next stop everywhere.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
If you are an alien, how come you sound like you're from the north?
Lots of planets have a north. I say, what a wonderful butler. He's so violent.
You've had this place redecorated, haven't you?
I don't like it.
You're completely mad.
I know.
Regeneration. A complete new life cycle.
When you began all those years ago, sailing off to see the universe, did you ever think you'd become this?
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start? Didn't anyone ever tell you there's one thing you never put in a trap if you're smart, if you value your continued existence, if you have any plans about seeing tomorrow, there's one thing you never ever put in a trap.
The first question, the question that must never be answered, hidden in plain sight. The question you've been running from all your life. Doctor Who. Doctor Who. Doctor Who.
I hope you all have enjoyed the panel. I hope you learned a little bit something. If you were a fan of Who, you maybe learned something new. As I've stated before, there are sheets right here in the front if you want them. 7 episodes to get you started. You can watch any one of them, get into Who, and not have to know any continuity about it. But now you know a little bit about it. Hopefully, you'll want to watch it. Thank you very much.